In this video, I'm going to be having the two parallel 6000 XPs providing the grid input. As you can see, they're currently running off the grid. I'm sorry, the 18K is currently running off the grid. After about another 2 or 3 minutes, it'll switch over to batteries because I just connected the grid. I have a 6,000 watt load going in the house, which just kicked off, and it'll kick back on here in a minute. I have the inverters running off this one leg of insufficient size battery cable here. And we're pulling 128, 130 amps from the batteries. Yeah, I'm not going to do the math. So here we have a 50% leg load on leg 1. And then this one here, I have it paused on leg 2. Ideally, if they're balanced, they're going to be shared about the same. So just assume that this 1600 is the same with that. So they're both supplying basically 3200 watts and 2800 watts. Alright, this just kicked on the battery, which means this one will be dropping down to 0. Oh, I was wrong. I didn't drop the battery yet. There it goes. Okay, so this is the difference in load. So when these are powering a 6,000 watt load, the fans are on. This one is currently only 900 watts. So, oh, it just kicked on, I think. So now we're pulling 5,400 watts in the house. But what I did differently, alright, switch of plans, something's different here. For some reason this one's staying on grid. That's the problem right there. On grid cutoff. I'm going to have to lower that down. Alright, let's see if that gives us the results. Yep, there we go. So I had a setting turned on for winter. I wanted to switch to grid at 30%. But for this test, it's kind of hard to show you a test when it's kicking over to grid. Alright, so now that's on battery, it'll occasionally pull from the grid. Inverter load, import. So the import and export are the important two. So when the load drops, it'll go to export. When the load kicks in, it'll go to import. And then the one right below it is the inverter load. So to see how we kicked in import 4,000 watts, which basically means the ones behind me kicked on to power the load, and this will end up picking up the load and switching back. But watch what, well, that we just barely hit over 6,000. Fans kicked on. Alright, now back here, This will go negative when the dryer kicks off. This will go negative for a second. That means it's charging the battery. And then it'll go back to positive. Oh, did you catch the 140 negative for a second? So the load kicked off, the dump load from the 18K, shutting off, reversed back into the grid, aka the 6000 XPs. The XPs took the load and reversed it into charging. And now when we see the dryer load kick on again, it'll pull from these for that split second. There you go. Until the 18K starts to pick up the load. So this setup, this is my grid going out to this box. This box is going to a 50 amp plug, and that 50 amp plug goes to the 18K. So this is my simulated grid. Go over this one more time. Parallel 6000 XP simulating the grid for the 18K PV with on-grid mode enabled. And these 6000 XPs have no problem taking and supplying the surge loads from the 18K.